Hello, nerds. Thank you for watching Generally Nerdy. This is The Week in Nerdom, your twice weekly source for all of the nerdy news headlines, everything from music, TV, movies, video games, comic books, everything, all of the stuff and the things and the jazz, and let's hit the intro and get into the news. This is your really quick reminder before we get into the things and the stuff that I will not be doing 2 episodes this week or next week. I got a commercial job down in super southern Colorado, so I will be unable to give you your headlines at the end of this week and at the beginning of next week because I will be filming a commercial. So that is the state of things, and now let's get into the news. So let's start it with music like we do, and we've got first The Weeknd. That song, I Can't Feel My Face, just hit 1 billion, billion with a B, views on YouTube, which is a huge, huge mark. That is an accomplishment that very few other videos have. So congratulations. This is actually the 3rd time The Weeknd has hit this mark, so a great big congratulations to him for that. Our next bit is another Ed Sheeran. We talked about this before because he's putting out that number 6 album, the collaborations album. He just released another collaboration, this time with Eminem and 50 Cent. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because there's in the song, you can go find the link in the description and listen to it yourself, but in the song he talks about how he spits game and how he's been in the game for so long and how the people tell him to not rap, and I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever heard him rap. I mean, the song's not terrible, and I believe this is the first time we've heard 50 Cent on a song for about 5 years, potentially even more, so that's kind of remarkable in and of itself that he got 50 out of some sort of strange retirement, but it's a listenable song. It's not exactly the best song from any of the 3 of these guys, but I'm not hating it either, so, you know, there's that. Next, we have another new song from Killswitch Engage's new record. This one is called I Am Broken 2. Again, this record just seems like a new fire has been lit under the asses collectively of Killswitch Engage. So it's a short one. This one's got a little bit more of a punky kind of length, though it's still definitely a Killswitch sounding song. This is kind of where I wanted them to be with Incinerate, though I really dug Incinerate as well. So, you know, take with that what you will. Next up is another update on Killer Be Killed. We've talked about it once or twice. Now it sounds like Max Cavalera, sorry, a tongue twister a little bit. Now it sounds like Max is looking to get to work on the new Killer Be Killed record in 2020. So right now he's on tour with Soulfly. Then he has some obligations to take care of with Sepultura. And once those are all met, it sounds like that's when he expects to start work on the next Killer Be Killed record. If you don't know, Killer Be Killed is the super group that he is in with Petrucci from Dillinger Escape Plan, Troy Sanders from Mastodon, and the bass player from Converge. I can't remember the dude's name right now. Anyway, so yeah, I was super excited that the first record they put out is like almost a decade old at this point, but it's still definitely worth a listen to kind of get you to where you should be in anticipation of a new record. And he says that it's not just his wishful thinking. He has been talking to all of the other guys involved, so it might actually happen. And then our last piece of news comes, it's another heavy bit, so again, if you like the heavy stuff, that's why we talk about it. Devin Townsend, from Devin Townsend Project, Strapping Young Lad, all of the things that Devin Townsend does and is kind of amazing at. He is about to go on tour again with the... it was unclear if it was just him solo or if it was an official Devin Townsend Project tour, but that's kind of irrelevant because what we're talking about is the fact that he's going to be playing Strapping Young Lad material on stage, which he hasn't done for a long time. Strapping Young Lad was done in about 2007, and I'm pretty certain that he hasn't played that music on stage since. So there is that. And this is kind of huge if you're a Devin Townsend fan, because Strapping Young Lad is the first thing that he kind of did that put him on the map. It's a little bit different than the stuff that he does these days, but is still solid heavy music. But that's all we've got for music. Let's kick on to our next section. TV and movie headlines for this episode, guys, gonna be a little short, so let's just roll with it, shall we? First things first, we have an interview with CNN by LeVarr Burton talking about the Star Trek Picard series. Burton says that he expects that the entire original Next Generation cast is going to have at least some sort of cameo or guesting appearance on the show. From the sounds of the interview, though, he doesn't really have that insider information. It's just there might be talks that he's privy to that he can't share explicitly. But if that is the case, who is the original cast member that you are most excited to see, and do you expect that they will try and get any of the surviving cast from the original Star Trek series to do guest spots as well? And then our only other piece for TV news for this episode has to do with The Haunting of Bly Manor. Just to get you up to speed, in case you don't know, this is the second season of the Haunting series on Netflix, the first one being Haunting of Hill House. So this piece of news comes from The Wrap, and it seems that Oliver Jackson-Cohen has announced that he will be returning for the season in Bly Manor. Obviously, he's not going to be the same character, but from Hill House, he was the older version of Luke, the youngest brother. He is now the second cast member from Hill House to announce that he will be in the Bly Manor season as well. So the anthology nature of this show just has you guessing exactly what role he's going to play this time. And like I said, that's it for TV. Now let's kick on to movies. And in movies, we've got a couple of things surrounding Bond 25. First thing we got is Christoph Waltz will be reprising his role as Blofeld from the previous Bond movie. And this is not a usual thing that they do for Bond movies. This is actually a really interesting time in the franchise because each of the last four movies has kind of led into the next, which really each individual Bond film before this has been a standalone feature. So that's really awesome, and I really dig Christoph Waltz's part, and I'm excited to see him again. But the second piece of news we have around Bond 25 is the more divisive piece of news. The Daily Mail is reporting, and there have been no confirmations for this yet, so the internet is blowing up for zero reason about this, but Daily Mail is reporting that Lashana Lynch will be the next person to take up the 007 moniker. She is not going to be a Bond person. She is going to be an all-original character. One report has her being the one taking over the reins. Another report from a different source says that it is only going to be inside the movie that this happens. So potentially she's going to die or leave MI6 or turn out to be our real villain, and that's why she leaves MI6. No, again, nothing of this has been 100% though it seems that there might be some ground to this. This might have some legs. We'll just have to keep tabs on this story as it develops. Then we finally got our first actual trailer from Rob Zombie's next movie, 3 from Hell. Go check that out on the YouTubes. If you are a horror fan and you dig the zombie style of horror, the over-the-top gore and such, then this looks like it's going to be right up your alley. This is exactly what you want out of the Firefly family. And yeah, the Otis is exactly who you think he should be. Captain Spaulding, and just check it. This is going to be an appropriate end, and it even kind of sort of addresses the fact that they kind of sort of died at the end of Devil's Rejects. So yeah, definitely worth a watch if you are into that kind of horror. And then our last piece of movie news comes from Shazam. It comes directly from Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi is saying that there will, in fact, be a Black Adam crossover movie. However, it's not going to be the second in the Shazam series. It is going to be the third. according to Levi, they are working on the Black Adam movie currently, and then they will be doing a Shazam 2 in the interim, and then theoretically that means the second Black Adam movie is going to be the crossover with Shazam. But that's all we got for movies. Now let's talk gaming, guys. We only have 2 things in gaming. First up is Gears 5. There is a Versus Tech test video. It's their beta for the Versus mode in Gears 5. Check the video, link in the description. It looks freaking brutal. This almost makes me want to jump back on the Gears train. I feel like I'm going to wait until the game actually launches so they can work out all the kinks and I can see exactly what's new about this content. But if you go check out this trailer, this is the most brutal version of Gears I think we've gotten ever. So awesome. And then our only other piece is a little bit more meta. This one has to do with cheaters on online games. So specifically on Battle Royale games, because Overwatch and Apex Legends, I know Overwatch is technically an FPS. I don't think it counts as Battle Royale. It's not big enough. But those 2 games are approaching online cheaters in a pretty different manner. And I just was kind of handing this one off to you guys. First, Overwatch is going to end the match once cheaters have been detected. They have some new tech that is apparently supposed to detect cheaters when it happens, so they don't get punished after the fact. So you still lose your points because you weren't cheating and therefore you lost the match. This time, they're going to stop the match immediately once the cheater has been detected, and you will not be penalized for the fact that you are on a team with a cheater, assuming you are also not cheating. So that's one way to deal with online cheaters. And then Apex Legends has a more unique take on the topic. They are going to be pairing up known cheaters to face off against each other. So you won't necessarily have to be in a round with cheaters. All of the known cheaters are going to go up against all of the other known cheaters. So once they detect you are a cheater or you've been reported enough times for cheating, then you will be in a different algorithm effectively, and they will only pair you up in matchmaking with other cheaters. So I just wanted to pass this one off to you guys. How do you think this is going to go over, first of all? Second of all, which one is going to be more effective? And third, do you know, or do you have an idea, rather, for a better way to deal with cheaters? Let's have all of those conversations down in the comments section. And then last but not least, let's talk about comic books. And this week's comic books is one of the bigger sections for the week. The fact that San Diego Comic-Con is about to happen probably has a lot to do with that, but let's just jump into the news. First up, we are getting another Joker book. Yes, that's right, another Joker book. This one is going to be co-written by John Carpenter. Yes, that John Carpenter. Yes, that John Carpenter. The guy who did the Halloween movies and all of that really awesome synthwave music and all of that stuff. One and the same. John Carpenter is going to be trying his hand at writing a comic book, and that seems to be something of a theme. We'll get to that in a second. But this one is going to be co-written with Anthony Birch, who wrote Borderlands 2. And the artists will be Philip Tan, Mark Deering. The name of the book is going to be Joker, Year of the Villain #1. I believe it's just a one-shot. I'm pretty sure it's just a one-shot, but also I'm pretty sure it's going to be prestige format and it's going to be a little bit longer. So it's probably going to be like $6. But it's another Joker book, and who's going to complain about that? Especially when you consider the fact that John Carpenter is going to be part of the writing on this book. I'm super excited about it. But we're moving. Next is the Tales from the Multiverse. So DC is kind of doubling down on the dark multiverse. Tales from the Dark Multiverse is the name of the series. It's going to be a series of one-shots that are going to take really popular events like Infinite Crisis and all of that, the death of Superman, so much is going on. They're going to take those events and then put them through the prism of the dark universe. The dark multiverse, rather. So it's going to be like, I don't even know. I can't even conjecture. We're gonna see Nightfall. We're gonna see so much stuff in the how it happened on an Earth in the dark universe. So that's also super exciting. Each of these books is going to be prestige format, so they're going to be large, and each of these books is going to be $6. But they are going to be one-offs, and judging from the content that they're supposed to be covering, they're also going to be fairly long by comparison, so that's always a good thing. You can't really complain about a longer book, right? And then, like I said, it seems to be a going theme that someone from Hollywood is trying their hand now at writing a comic book. I believe I'm pretty sure we've talked about this in the past, that J.J. Abrams is teaming up with his son to write a Spider-Man book. That's not necessarily the news. There is an update to that fact, and that is that it is going to be a 5-issue mini, and they're going to, it's going to start this September, I think that's also known as well, but they're going to be introducing their own villain. The name of this villain is Cavalera, and there's really not much known about him just yet because the book hasn't started, and I don't even think we've gotten proper solicits for it yet, but once we do, we'll definitely go over it and see if this is going to be something worth reading. And then that brings us very handily into our final piece of news, and that is Snake Eyes' Dead Game. IDW, G.I. Joe, that's been a long time going, but Rob Liefeld, the guy who created Deadpool, is going to be writing this book. That's why we're talking about it, because that's kind of a big deal. Liefeld just finished up with his Major X run over at Marvel. Now he's been freed up to do whatever he wants because he's not under contract with Marvel anymore, so he is checking one off of his bucket list because he's super excited about the writing this IP. He's always wanted to write specifically Snake Eyes for the G.I. Joe franchise, and now he gets his chance to do it. And I didn't read the synopsis for it just yet because I just didn't have the time while doing the research. I just saw this, read a good chunk of the article, and was it's worth sharing because it's a great character to begin with, and Liefeld, who created Deadpool, it's in capable hands, I feel like. But that, guys, is the end of today's episode. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next episode? Let me know in the comments down below. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net. That is a place that you can find all of the freebies and the social medias. You can actually find all the social media links down in this video description as well, so you can go check those out. Also, the Patreon link is down there, and at the website, patreon.com/generallynerdy is the place to go support the channel. It's about to go through another overhaul. I know I did one at the beginning of the year, but things change, and my ability to create this content changes, varying reasons and stuff, so it's going to go through an overhaul. If you want to jump on before that happens, then now is the chance. Again, patreon.com/generallynerdy. A reminder, we will not be doing another episode this week, and next week we will very likely only have one episode as well. My apologies, but I have a video gig that is just going to be eating up a good chunk of my time next week, so that is the way it is. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the like button if you like what I'm trying to do here. If you are falling behind in your nerd news and you want to catch up, then you can click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before we go and click boxes and visit websites, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.